Hi, I'm Sandra Murray of the White Mountain Community Garden, located here in the heart of Show Low, Arizona. Welcome to AZ Mountain Gardening. Well, summer has really arrived here in the White Mountains. This month we've got the Kids Gardening Junior Master Gardener program. We're going to learn a lot more about building up your soils to grow those healthy plants, and also hear some about companion planting.
Hi everyone, this is Vicki Matsumanji of the White Mountain Community Garden. I'm the team leader of the Seed Saving Garden, and today we are planting seeds and starts in the Seed Saving Garden. The problem with the Seed Saving Garden is that everything matures and it gets really beautiful, and you just have to let it kind of die to give us the seeds. So that's what we're doing now. Behind me, these are carrots that we planted last year, and it's a biannual plant for collecting seeds. Like in the fall, we covered everything with mulch for the winter, and now in the spring it's like producing these wonderful shoots of flowers. So what we're going to do is we'll just let them mature. They'll get brown, and that's when we go in to harvest the seeds. So I'm really excited about this because I've never done this before with carrots. So we have a lot of carrot seeds for next year. So now we're planting starts from seeds that we started earlier. And we're also planting seeds, so it's a mix. But what the seed garden is, you can start anytime, and you're just going to let it grow. This year I'm really trying to pay a lot of attention to companion planting. That means companion planting is planting vegetables that are like friends with each other, good neighbors, let's say. For instance, tomatoes and basil are good neighbors. Basil enhances the taste of the tomatoes. Now, beans and onions are not good neighbors. You never want to plant beans next to onions. Okay, so for this year for planting, I decided to I came up with a list of plants that I wanted to get seeds from. And so then I went down the list and I made I also included all the companion plants for the like radishes and the beans and tomatoes. And then I also made a list of the, let's say, bad neighbors, or the plants that don't enhance, that are not good for the plants. So Trina has that. So I've figured out where we need to plant everything. Hopefully it's going to work out. We're going to have marigolds in there because marigolds are always good for inhibiting pests. And we'll probably dill with the tomatoes will be good. Dill and tomatoes are good companions. Trina is heading up the planting, and she's following a map that I put together to plant all the everything in a good companion way of planting. So all of the vegetables that we're planting right now, they're all good companions, they're good neighbors to each other.
Hello, I'm Bill Fox, and this is Danny Traster here with me. We started the gazebo project here at the garden, the White Mountain Community Garden, last January. It's an idea that I had coming from last year, about this time actually, June, July-ish, when all of the garden members were congregating at this very location in the heat of the day on Saturdays to kind of have a reprieve from the sun. And they were putting up temporary umbrellas over themselves and sitting at tables, and having coffee and chit-chatting about all the things we're doing at the garden. And I got an idea in my head that said, you know what? That would be the spot that's naturally selected by these people for a gazebo. So,
didn't there also used to be a little plastic table here with an umbrella over it?
Yes, they had a small table, umbrella over it, and everybody was sitting here just by natural choice, and it seemed to be perfectly centered in the garden. And so that's what got the idea for a gazebo that's a more permanent structure, that the wind wouldn't affect like it was affecting the table and the chairs and blowing everything around, and you'd always have to grab things to stabilize. So I thought, what better idea than to have a beautifully hand-built gazebo in this very location that would be permanent and offer some shelter from the high UV sun here in the White Mountains. So here we are, starting January of 2018, and we're in June now and it's finished. Danny was a huge help. My goodness, if it weren't for him, we wouldn't have finished it, we wouldn't have completed it. So the people that helped build this were Danny, myself, Bruno, Joe, and Gary. So we've been working on the gazebo every Saturday since January for about 3 hours each morning, and we finished it up about end of May-ish, around there. So we were very pleased on June 28th that the Show Low Chamber of Commerce conducted a ribbon cutting ceremony for the gazebo, and we're just pleased that they recognize this wonderful community effort.
This is a proclamation we, the ambassadors, together with the Show Low Chamber of Commerce, do hereby proclaim this day of new beginnings. Yes! From the traders and merchants, there we go, who traveled the beautiful and rugged mountains, to the merchants of today progress, and new beginnings have prevailed, and yes! Those new beginnings have marked the development of Show Low, Navajo County, as the recreation capital of Arizona, gateway to the pine forest and beautiful mountain streams, and the home of the majestic elk and deer. And whereas we wish the community garden continued growth in this White Mountain business community, and present this proclamation, which carries with it 100 years of good fortune. Signed this day, the 20th day of June, the year of our Lord 2018. Jimmy F. Gave the executive. So you guys have 100 years of growing good vegetables and fruits, yeah?
Yeah. There you got it, you got it.
Fantastic.
By inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground.
Welcome everybody to Kids Gardening here at the White Mountain Community Garden on this awesome July morning. We're so happy to see everybody's smiling face. And it's not raining! Woo!
Yay!
But it did.
But it did. Yes. Yeah.
So we're glad everybody's here, and
The name tags are awesome.
The name tags look phenomenal.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a great day. And here at the garden, we like to help each other, be kind, and grow some good plants to eat and to nourish us. Pretty flowers to smell and to bring the pollinators around, and the little birds and the other garden critters. So we're going to have a day of exploration and learning and crafting and enjoying each other. So woohoo!
Woo! Yay! And over there is our big giant sunflower. And we've got squash, we've got tomatoes, we've got beans and peas. Did I say bees and peas? I meant beans and peas, thank you. So this is our garden just for us kids. So this is the first year we've ever planted peanuts. So I really don't know what they're going to do, so we're having an experiment. Woohoo! Is that cool? Yeah.
I already see a peanut on the ground there.
Well,
That's one that didn't stay
now
on the
this is
ground.
our worm bed.
Okay, over here now. Okay.
Over here, and look at all this squash coming up, and somebody just fed them bananas this morning. Those worms are so happy. And now we're going to the gazebo. You guys, do you know what this is? Pumpkins.
We found a bug.
We're going to have a pumpkin, a jack-o'-lantern. Won't that be fun? We grew ourselves. Okay, let's go over to the high tunnel. Come on, Gwendolyn, come and tell me. This is called the high tunnel. That's because it's a tunnel and it's high. And this is a controlled environment. Do you know what that means? We can control, you know, we can control the temperature and what else? What other element do we want to control up here in the White Mountains? Ooh. Ooh. The wind. We've got a zucchini already, and the seed has been in the ground since June, the 1st of June. Yay, zucchini.
There's a lot of zucchinis in there.
Look at that one.
He's big. So we can look at our beautiful garden and we wonder how all those plants got there. So where do you think? From seeds. That's right.
Everyone?
Pretty much everyone out there is from a little seed, like a little bean seed. That's right. So we have a lot of different parts to the beans. We're going to talk about just beans because they grow real fast and they're good for us to eat and they're good for the garden. So what do roots do? Why does the plant have the roots?
Well, it keeps it stable in the dirt and it pulls up water from the soil into the plants.
Yeah.
And it plants the leaves and makes it sugar filled with
Yeah.
sunlight. The plants water.
Good. And what else do they do, Hannah?
The plants need water and sunshine to grow.
You're right. They need sunshine. What does the sun do? Do they have anything with this? Yes,
it
Jocelyn,
makes it
your
grow.
turn.
Makes the sun helps the leaves grow and helps everything grow really, but like gets nutrients from the soil into this.
That's right. So that's how they're feeding, right?
Does that have a name?
Yeah, they
what
make
the leaves
sugar
do?
with the water.
Yes, it
and
does.
sunlight.
Photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis.
Yes.
Why
Yes.
is that
So is
called
that-
photosynthesis?
I guess somebody named it photosynthesis for how the plants take all the energy from the sun and the green and they make all sorts of good things for them to grow.
Is that really necessary? Is photosynthesis really necessary for plants to grow?
Well, yes, that's how they grow. So that's why, look at how beautiful these leaves are. They're very happy. And there's some new leaves coming here too. Yes. So there we are, we've got roots. So we said, yeah, they can bring water up to the plant.
One seed to grow that.
Yes, that's one seed. Isn't that amazing? But look at how the roots, lots of them, lots of roots.
Put that in your pocket.
So now for a close-up view, so we have leaves, we have, what's this part? Stem. Then we have down here, roots. So that's pretty amazing. No flowers yet, but there will be. And what comes from the flower? That's right, the little fruit of the bean. So here we have, I'll put that down there so everybody there can see it, is I sprouted a few bean seeds. These are just dried beans from my kitchen cabinet, and I put them. Kidney beans, that's right. So there's a kidney beans in wet paper towel and in a little plastic baggie, and they're not even a week old. They're not even a week old. So here,
Those ones grow the best.
look at how that kidney bean. So all the energy of the seed was in there, all the food to nourish its growth. So it was wet, kept nice and wet, moist in there, and look at its roots.
Now, could you plant that right in the ground now?
Well, I suppose you could try. It might not be too happy though. So you could, if you had some very nice fine soil.
And then how would you plant it? With the roots down?
Roots down. You guys want to check it out? So that's what's happening under the ground that we can't even see, right? Is it starts germinating and then it's little roots. And look at, well, we can look with the magnifier and I'll let everybody have a chance. There's the roots, bigger roots, and then tell me what else you see there. Here, I'll give you this one and I'll bring, here's another one for you guys over here. We have another magnifier.
It looks like a Stranger Things thing and stuff.
So they're nice and, you know,
This one has
flexible. Yeah, everybody's gonna get one.
I don't know how. Can I cut my own?
Oh, no thanks, I'm gonna cut them. And then we're gonna do that. We fold them like that, and one more.
I cannot
Get
hold
one, don't
this.
We will help.
So what you want to do is you always have one on top and then one underneath. You put one on top of one of the folds, one underneath, and you push it down. And you see how this one's on top?
Yeah.
Well, then you put this side on the bottom and you just push down. And it folds. And it stays. So when you do that, it pushes on each other, but it doesn't come out unless you pull the sides open. So all you have to do is do opposite. So this is my second year taking the Junior Master Gardening class. And from my experience, it is so fun because we always get to do a bunch of fun stuff, make little pots, plant stuff, and we usually get these little plastic pots with shovels and little soil looseners, and we get books, we get notepads, pencils. It's always so fun in the program. Every year, the beginning of the year, the first day, we go on a tour of the garden, and this year we have a bunch more people, and there's some new people, and that's good. It's because they get to have the experience of the garden if they don't know about it. And we get to learn about a bunch of different plants. So if we find a plant that's just growing random, we ask certain people who think they'll know about the plant. If they know, they'll tell us. We usually get volunteer sunflowers, volunteer tomato plants. We usually get a lot of volunteer plants around the garden. And just behind that yellow shed over there, we found last year a bunch of huge sunflowers all over. It was like a sunflower jungle behind there. They were just volunteer. We don't know where they came from. Huh?
What is a volunteer?
A volunteer? Well, a volunteer is a plant, when seeds or something that someone's eating, parts of apple cores and stuff like that, the seeds get compacted into the soil for a while, and they end up growing plants, and then they just rise out of nowhere, and we call them volunteer plants because we didn't plant them. They just grew. Yes, we learn about bugs. There's the earwigs. They're actually not that good for plants, but they also kind of help them. And there's bean beetles and squash beetles and ladybugs and worms and all sorts of different bugs that can help the garden, and there's also bugs that can't help the garden. The ones that can help, we have to get rid of, like grasshoppers, squash beetles, bean beetles. Those are bad for the garden. Ladybugs are actually good for the garden. So are worms, because they help loosen up the soil below plants. Because the worms that loosen the soil, that helps the plant's roots go down deeper and spread out more, so that the plant gets more roots, and that makes it get bigger or more.
Next year I will work on this tree a little more. I will come in next year and I will probably take out at least one of these branches. When you have a bunch of branches together like this, it's not a very strong growth. It's subject to breakage and wind. So certainly I'll work with that next spring. Okay, good cut. First of all, you want a bypass pruner, or in some cases, if it's a heavier branch, you would want a lopper, which is also bypass. You don't want the kind with the steady blade and then the other blade comes down on top. That's, I forget the name right now, but anyhow, that's not a good pruner. It crushes the plants instead of cutting them. So we can look here, and we want to look on this branch. We can see some buds here and some small twigs coming out here. So if we want to cut this branch so that he will grow out this way instead of up this way, we're going to look for a bud that goes that way. Now we could use one of these down here that goes sideways too, but in this case I would like to see this branch go that way. So I'm going to come down here to this little bud, you can see him right there, and I'm going to cut just above, just barely above, maybe 1/8 of an inch above. If you cut and you leave a, let me see, I'll just use a branch here for an example. We have this branch coming out. Let's say we would like to get rid of this. So if we come and cut like that, we've left a stump. That's subject to insect infestation and all kinds of things. So you never want to leave stumps. You would want to come in here very close to this, again around 1/8 of an inch, and cut that off smoothly. And make sure your pruners are sharp. You want a nice clean cut. You know yourself, if you cut yourself with a razor, the cut heals very quickly. If it's a ragged, jagged cut, it takes forever to heal. Same with trees. They will heal their cuts if you make them properly with a sharp tool. And do not paint the cuts. The research has been shown through the various universities that putting painting of any type on these cuts prevents them from healing. The tree is very good at healing itself if you will allow it to do that, and of course if it's a healthy tree. But that's probably most of the, for the smaller twigs. Oh, I know one more thing. If you're cutting a larger limb like this limb down here, you can see this area right in here. This is called the branch bark ridge. That's a landmark for you. There's a little swelling right under here, and that's called the branch collar. If I was going to take this big branch off, I would cut right at the outside edge of the branch bark ridge and go down to the outside edge of the branch collar. This again allows the tree to heal properly. Trees have hormones, and if you make that proper cut, that cut will seal and heal instead of bursting forth with a bunch of excess growth.
We've learned a lot about what it takes to garden here in the White Mountains of Arizona, located right in the heart of Show Low. Please join us next time as we continue to grow and learn.